So, time is a funny thing. There is this passage that I keep going over again and again and again. The two little girls and I crossed the Delaware River where George Washington had crossed it the next morning. We went to the New York World's Fair, saw what the past had been like according to the Ford Motor Car Company and Walt Disney, saw what the future would be like according to General Motors, and I asked myself about the present, how wide it was, how deep it was, how much of it was mine to keep. Firstly, wow, and secondly, why did he say the two little girls and I crossed the Delaware River where George Washington had crossed it the next morning, and not the next morning the two little girls and I crossed the Delaware River where George Washington had crossed it? By ending the sentence with the next morning, Vonnegut creates something which I am sure has a really technical name, but which I like to call an ambiguous subject, whereby it is only the context and not the structure of the sentence that gives it its meaning. The structure allows two possible subjects, the girls and George Washington, and usually this is okay because your brain would tell you that George Washington crossing the river tomorrow is an unacceptable conclusion to draw, but not in Slaughterhouse-Five, and not at the beginning of a paragraph that goes on to talk about time and perceptions and futures and pasts. There is this theory that's been around for a long time, but it is a theory that is probably best expressed in David Lewis's book on the plurality of worlds, and it is a theory that states that every way that a world could be is a way that some world is. There is a world in which this video is exactly the same, except for the small fact that I have a book on my head. There is a world where I do this video without a shirt, and a world where I do it in a really poor Scottish accent. I'm going to talk more about how Slaughterhouse-Five deals with art next week, but for now I want to draw your attention to the attention that it draws between art and time. We like to plan things, we like to tell people about the things that we will do and the places that we will go, and then those things that we tell them hang over us. They hang over us like pages from a colouring book that have yet to be coloured in, unsatisfied, waiting to be fulfilled and accomplished and achieved. Well, that is our way, but David Lewis's way and the way that is presented in Slaughterhouse-Five is a different way. Their world is one where what could have been and what would have been is and was and will be, where time is fluid and simultaneous, where George Washington crossed the Delaware River tomorrow, and where the famous book about Dresden was finished before it even began. And what is so completely exciting about this is that it shifts the focus of control and allows us to view the universe as just this clump of possibility that we just have to focus on existing in. It gets rid of obstacle and self-doubt and allows us to just kind of wait and see what happens. Book fair is there is a world exactly the same as this, and where after this video this channel resumes its regularly scheduled daily doses of thoughtful and critical responses to the greatest works of literature of all time. And it might even be this one. So time is a funny thing.